What is up, YouTube? We're back from another YouTube video, and we're here with the Chamber of Starlight Legend Lost Sector guide. And as you can see, to get here, you're going to want to go to the Dreaming City. So make sure you're looking at the top right of your screen over here in this direction, and just spawn in Dreaming City. Then obviously in Pavilion Mist. And as you can see, once you spawn in, we're going to go to our left this time. I know yesterday's Lost Sector was to the right, but this time we're going to go to the left. And this one is pretty easy to get to, but you're going to have a waypoint if you do have it unlocked, so you can easily just ping it if you're not 100% sure where you're going to go. But here you can see we're going to go to our left, and then once we reach the new area here, we're going to go to our right here. Now you can see the other players that are standing at the flag over there, but just make your way here. And then once you reach a certain distance, you can just jump across these rocks and just drop all the way down by this waterfall. As you can see, once you get here, Chamber of Starlight. Now, if you don't see that flag there or the icon on your map to ping it, what that means is you have to complete the normal version of the Lost Sector, which means you have to go and kill every single enemy, kill the boss, and then loot the chest at the end to unlock Legend and Master difficulty for this Lost Sector. So you're going to see, once you reach a certain point in this Lost Sector, you're going to see ads and everything. Make sure you kill everything, just like I mentioned, and then you'll unlock Legend and Master difficulty for this Lost Sector. Now we're going to work our way back up here. I'm trying to see if I can bring my sparrow out to make this a little faster, but looks like I'll just have to do the walk. But then we'll get into the modifiers, then eventually the loadout, and then the gameplay. So you can see we're right here. Let's take a look at these modifiers. So we have solar and void shields, locked loadout, extra shields, equipment lock, limited revives, overload and unstoppable champions. So this is like, I think 3 days in a row that we've had overload and unstoppable. Then solar threat is 25% increase to incoming solar damage. So this is damage dealt by the enemies. Epitaph, which is taking combatants incinerate blight geysers when defeated. Overcharged weapons. Weapon overcharges from seasonal artifact are active in this activity. Kinetic weapons do increased damage when your subclass element matches an active surge. Then we have Arc Surge, which is a 25% bonus to outgoing arc damage. And then Strand Surge, which is a 25% bonus to outgoing strand damage. Then Overcharged Sword, and this is 25% bonus to sword damage. Now, recommended power 1830, but 1815 and above you should be just fine. Enhancement cores are uncommon, and if completed solo, exotic leg armor is rare. So that's going to do it here for the modifiers. We're going to cut over to the loadout, and then we'll get into the gameplay. So here's the build slash loadout. It's the same one as yesterday, and I think the day before. I could be wrong, but I'm not 100% sure. But Strand subclasses, you can see here, we got Silk Strike, and then Marksman Dodge with triple jump, Threaded Spike, Threadling Grenades, Widow Silk, and Threaded Spectre. Then fragments are Thread of Generation, Thread of Evolution, Thread of Binding, and Thread of Continuity. Then in terms of our first weapon, Round Robin, it's a Strand Hand Cannon. And then you can get this from Neomuna from the Lightfall expansion. Now, I'm not 100% sure how this is obtainable if free-to-play players can get it or not. But if that's the case, and maybe you can't obtain it or you just don't have one and you don't feel like farming it, if you have Malfeasance, it's another option. Okay, now, whether or not you want to run Le Monarch is completely up to you. I highly recommend Le Monarch because when it comes to the Overload champion at the end, he's far away. I don't necessarily want to push that, especially getting shot from the back, or, you know, something happens where you miss a shot, he's not stunned, and some, you know, BS happens like that. I recommend the Monarch, that way you can do it from a distance. You have infinite ammo, you don't have to worry about special ammo or anything. But if you want, you can easily do something like Hollow Denial, put on any kind of trace rifle or a scout rifle, and have overload whatever. And, you know, let's say I put this on, and then I want to run Malfeasance. You can do this because it'll stun your unstoppable champions, and it'll also do increased damage because of the Taken Predator perk. Now, if I would get it to load, there we go. Bonus damage against Taken enemies and Gambit invaders. Now, obviously, Gambit doesn't apply here. but taken enemies. This is a taken lost sector, and I think I forgot to mention this yesterday, but this is also one that you can use right now that is going to be very helpful at dealing increased damage. The boss is a taken enemy. I'm pretty sure the champions will count as taken enemies, so that should help you. Again, if you can get the Malfeasance Callus, I just realized, Vorpal Weapon works against champions, but imagine with Malfeasance, the taken buff, since it's a taken champion, that has to increase the damage by a good margin. So if you got this, feel free to use it. But I'm going to go back to the loadout that I had initially, and it's round robin, a strand hand cannon, and preferably if you have hatchling, that way if you're getting headshots and stuff or just landing kills randomly, you might spawn a hatchling. And these can stun champions. I noticed that in my first recording that I did here. I actually shot, I think it was a thrall. It spawned a threadling. I loaded up my unstoppable shot, and the threadling attacked a champion and stunned it. So that was pretty interesting. I didn't know it could do that. But that's what I have here. Again, if not, you'll use Malfeasance and you'll get a damage buff because of the Taken Predator perk. If you have the Catalyst, it'll give you increased damage against champions as well. And you'll also get a kinetic increased damage because of using a Strand subclass. Because if you have a Strand subclass that matches the surge in the activity, which in this case is Arc or Strand, you'll get increased damage for your kinetic weapons, and obviously that applies to Malfeasance. So you can get some good synergy here by using Malfeasance, but again, that's completely up to you. Or if you don't have either or, any kinetic hand cannon can do the job. Again, in my case, I only used this to stun champions. That was pretty much it. But in my secondary slot, the Monarch, like I mentioned, it's really useful just for the Overload champions. I'm not a big fan of Overload Trace Rifle, and Overload Scout, I can deal with it. But to be honest, when you have the Monarch, you don't need to worry about getting an artifact perk or an artifact mod. Literally, it has it intrinsically, so even after the season is done, this will always be able to stun Overload champions. And in my opinion, it's the best. It has the poison arrows, which will do increased damage, and you can use it from a distance, which is great for Overload champions, because if you get close, they're going to do like that damage attack that does increased damage and stuff. You just don't want to get hit by that. So standing from a distance and using this will be great. I do want to apologize. There's like a helicopter or something going by. I have no idea what's happening. But for the heavy slot, Circular Logic, again, it's strand, so we're going to take advantage of that buff to strand damage. It's a heavy weapon that can hold a lot of ammo, and it's very useful for dealing with unstoppable champions, which is any champion, any boss. You can just keep hitting crits, spawn hatchlings, and those will go after the boss and do more damage, or whatever you're shooting at for that matter. So yeah, pretty good loadout I've been running the last couple days. Now in terms of armor, we have Ashes to Assets, which is you gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. Then Strand Siphon and Void Siphon, which is Rapid Strand Weapon Final Blows create Orbs of Power, and Rapid Void Weapon Final Blows create Orbs of Power. So as you can see here, my Strand Weapon, my Void Weapon, and another Strand Weapon. So no matter what weapon I use, I'm going to be generating orbs. Then Firepower, your Grenade Final Blows create Orbs of Power. It says it all right there. We're generating a lot of orbs, and those orbs not only are useful for filling up our super bar faster, but also for getting Feast of Light, which is going to be for Star Raider scales. Then Grenade Kickstart, when your grenade energy is fully expended, you gain grenade energy, so pretty useful. Void Loader increases reload speed for void weapons, and I only use this because I only had one slot left, and as you can see, it's either Fastball, Void Loader, or Void Dexterity, and I was like, screw it, Void Loader, just because if I'm using Le Monarch most of the time, which I am, I'm going to be, shooting a shot, loading another arrow in, might as well have it, work faster so I can, get kills faster and get it over with faster. So that's kind of the thought process behind that. Then when it comes to my chest piece, this is Artifice Armor, so I do want to make that clear. But as you can see, I have solar damage resistant mods here, but I also have one arc, which isn't supposed to be there, to be honest. If you have Artifice Armor, feel free to run all three of those, but if not, regular armor, just make sure you have 2 solar resistant mods. That way you can take less damage from the solar enemies in the Lost Sector. The boss does do solar damage, and there's these taken knights that do solar damage. So that's something you want to stay away from, because there's that 25% bonus to extra damage being taken by solar. So stay away from that and put on some solar damage resistant mods. And then for my legs, we have the exotic Star Eater scales. You pick up orbs of power to overcharge your super. You make it more lethal. It literally will destroy the boss if you just spam the light attack, and then there's going to be ads that spawn after. You can just use your heavy attack and suspend them or whatever. It's super easy, and it's pretty much, it requires literally no work other than running over orbs to make sure you pick them up. So then, better already, your health begins to regenerate immediately after picking up an orb of power. Again, we're generating orbs. If we see an orb and we're running low on health or we need it desperately, we'll know that it's going to heal us. Strand Weapon Surge and Void Weapon Surge, which will grant us small bonus damage to Strand Weapons and Void Weapons. And obviously, like I said, Strand Weapon, Void Weapon. So everything we have is going to take advantage of that. Then Time Dilation, which is your Decaying Armor Charge, has a longer duration. We have 2 of those. That way we try to make it last as long as possible. And then Bomber, which reduces grenade cooldowns when using your class ability. So again, if we're using our dodge that way to reload or to throw decoys down, we're going to get grenade energy, or it's going to help reduce the grenade cooldown that way. We can help get a little faster. That way we can spam those nades to get rid of ads and stuff like that for us. So pretty good build that requires you to do not a whole lot, to be honest. Then in terms of what we got going on with the artifact, authorized mods, void, and then we have counter charge. Now, just to go over this here, if you're going to want to follow this build, make sure you have unstoppable hand cannon. Obviously for the hand cannon, it's a stun unstoppable champions. Authorized mod void, that way you can get that decrease and have the exact same perks as me. Then make sure you have counter charge, and that's pretty much it. And just if you're wondering, counter charge, you gain a stack of armor charge when you stun a champion. That way you do increased damage, and pretty much it gives you armor charge without having to pick up an orb of power, so you can get your weapon surge for strand or void. So whatever weapon you're using does increased damage. So that's the breakdown for the build. Let's get straight into the gameplay. Now we're gonna spawn in, and I recommend going after this hobgoblin first. That way you get rid of that annoying sniper. And we're gonna stun the unstoppable and use our machine gun here. Do some damage. And switch back to our pistol. Stun. Take out our machine gun again. And then I'm gonna go for a finisher. Now that we did that, I'm gonna run right here, throw a decoy down, run to the left. Now there is gonna be a guy with a solar shield here, and that's who I'm gonna go after first. Just because of that solar shield. He does do solar damage, so I wouldn't recommend pushing the guy, to be honest. Unless you're just going to beam him with your heavy, then by all means give that a try. But I'm just going to do this from a distance, as you can see. And a couple arrows down, and then he's gone. You can see the rest are just all going to have void shields. So we can pop most of them, as you can see, if they're in a group like that. And it's also going to do damage. And you're also doing extra damage from the Monarch. It's just such a good way to deal with those ads. Pick up any orbs that are here. That way I can fill up my super meter while also getting ability energy and stuff. I didn't really use my nades, so it is what it is there, to be honest. I'll throw my melee here. Throw threadling nades over there. Now here you're just gonna have a whole lot of ads pushing you. I don't know what these guys are on. I'll just do a regular melee at that point. Here you can see from a distance you are going to have enemies over there. You can see more void shields, but here, these enemies, we're going to deal with them. This guy's with the solar shield. I want to get rid of him, to be honest. He's pretty annoying. And of course he's immune. Who would have thought? So let's try to deal with this guy. Watch out for these snipers if you're going to work your way over here. Try to get rid of them first, because there's going to be an overload champion that's going to spawn up there once I think we spawn the boss, possibly. I'm not 100% sure. I'm just going to use my heavy, get rid of this guy. Reload. Pick up an orb. We're going to be at Feast of Light ×2 right now. So we just need some more orbs. We need 2 more to overcharge it to the max. should be good. You can see our unstoppable champion. I'm gonna deal with him now. I think I didn't charge my overload or my unstoppable. There we go. Do some damage. And you can see pretty much the hand cannon is solely here to stun champions. That's pretty much it. Let's reload again. And then here we're just gonna do some damage with the bow. Gonna have another unstoppable champion. Use the machine gun. Now let me see if I can get another stun off. There we go. Throw a threadling grenade, throw a decoy down. Gonna run around. You can see here, so many thrall. Just deal with all of these ads. You can see all the orbs here, so we're definitely got Feast of Light ×4. Pretty much chilling at that point when it comes to having our super maxed out. I'm gonna try to get rid of the overload from here. Now you could try to get a little closer and use your LMG if you're using the same loadout, but I'm not gonna take that risk because of the solar damage that the boss is doing. So I'm just gonna continuously just try to stun like this. Jesus Christ, these ads. There we go, keep going. See if you can, obviously try to hit a crit so you can do more damage. And again, obviously this is gonna add like a whole like extra minute or two to your timer, so if you want to do this fast, you can obviously just run up there, try to avoid the solar damage, and just beam it with a machine gun once you stun, but I'm not taking that risk like I mentioned. So you can see right here we're done. And I think they have a void shield. Yeah, the boss has a void shield. Let's deal with these ads. I'm gonna do that. Pop the decoy. Use my super here. And while it's focusing on the decoy, spam your attacks and everything, and you should be fine. Let's see here, we got some ads. And yeah, lost sector complete. Collect your loot. I just got some bombardiers. Never really used the exotic, to be honest, so went straight to the postmaster. But 5 minutes and 25 seconds, not bad. So that's gonna do it for the run here. If you found this helpful, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below any other builds you're running or anything else that can make it a little easier for people. Make sure to ring the bell so you don't miss another video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.